All right, good morning, guys. Let's take a look here at the pre-market. So as you guys will see, price, like I showed you guys the other day, it's hitting resistance. Now it's pulling back. No coincidence. It's at markets at all-time highs. Now we got to see if it's going to hold this 9 EMA and see if it holds a flag potentially. See if this 9 EMA will catch up and continue to push price up. So got to watch and see. Again, as we keep saying, watch list, stuff like that get a little bit crazy, or they don't move as much when you have days like these doji candles. So our watches yesterday really sucked. Even though the alerts fired off, they just were not good setups like at all yesterday. It's one of the worst I saw in a while. But keep them up. Again, we still watch them over here, and we have them up over here. So again, our watch lists do fire off like crazy. You just got to be patient and watch for the right setups. So let's take a look down over here, what we're looking at. First one we're going to take a look at is VBIV. So if you look at VBIV, looking to see if it can go and get above right there, that 20 EMA, that red line. So I want to see if it can go and break above that 145 marker, and then look at 150 or so as resistance. That'll be important resistance level. What's going on, Dom? How you doing? So we're looking at this one here. It's kind of got a rising wedge-ish pattern here. So we'll see if it can go and get above that, again, above that 20 EMA, and then get above that 150. And then you can see there's a gap right here. See if it can go and continue up in this gap. All right, next up. You can see here's HDSN from the watch list. Penny stock, looking to see if this one can break above $1. So a dollar break. And then ideally get above that 9 EMA. Lots of overhead resistance. But again, we try to give a mix between some penny stocks and some kind of medium to higher floater ones as well. So this one right here definitely has quite a bit of overhead resistance. Possible reverse on the daily, but it has the resistance ahead up over here. So let me see. Trapped in Riot. Let me see about Riot. Chen, are you buying pre-market? I hope you're not buying pre-market. If any of you guys are listening and you're new, please don't buy stocks in the pre-market. Very dangerous. As you can see, they pump and dump very quickly. So, I mean, it went up to 421 pre-market. It's not looking so hot at the moment. Can it go up? Sure. It's got a lot to contend with up here. You got to watch what happens at market open, but as you can see, it's just kind of got to watch. That's why we tell you, I hope we never advise ever buying in the pre-market unless you know what the heck you're doing. With VBIV, got to watch the patterns with VBIV. Ideally, it needs to get above that 150 and hold and stay above that 9 EMA. So 150 is a very, very important level. Or if there's a pullback, the 9 EMA catches up, pulls back for a potential break above 150. This 140s level would probably be a very right here. Ideally, if you get in before 150, you want to see the 9 EMA catch up and have like a flag and get near that 9 EMA. Otherwise, you wait for a breakout above 150 and a back test retest. All right, let's see what else we got here. What else we got? NVCN. This one's a little bit bearish at the moment. Wanted to see if this one can get above that 64 level and break out, seeing if there could have been a pump up to the 80s there. But it's not doing anything right now. I just pulled RIOT up from this morning, Chen, on trade ideas. BIOC, not looking so hot. AVMXY, this is one that was holding its highs. Want to see if this one can get above that 585 level, and then see if it can get above that $6 level. We do day trading and swing trading in our community. We do both. So we have a couple different trade rooms. So myself, I personally am not a low floater fan. I like the medium to higher floater stocks, ones that kind of go like stuff like this, you know, that might be crossing over or pinching on the daily, holding its highs, see if it can go get above $6, might have some room to run. Kind of a higher float stock. This is the stuff I like. I don't like, there's no volume in the pre-market right now. But I have this one on watch to see if it gets some volume, if it can continue its highs, see if the 9 EMA will catch up and push price up. Let's see. I was looking at a couple. The swings were not really great, to be honest. We had COP on there for, you can see kind of rising channel, kind of a flaggish pattern here, pinching moving average lines. Seeing if they can cross and then it would hold above the moving average lines with a pop potentially up to that 6150-ish to 62 level. Yeah, Chen, I'm not sure what to tell you with RIOT. You gotta, unfortunately, did you buy in the pre-market or did you buy ahead of time? You gotta be careful. This is why we try to tell people in our community. Just go for an example with Bitcoin, right? /BTC. This is what happens right now is you can hear the Bitcoin sector is just getting pumped everywhere right now. Is there a lot of money to be made in the Bitcoin sector trading? Absolutely. Is there also a lot of money to be lost? Absolutely. And so as you can see, the technicals, when you see, you know, Bitcoin right here, it's just, you have this doji candle in a, shooting star pattern at resistance. You can see the stock is Bitcoin's super overextended. If you're looking to buy pretty much any stock, and especially at Bitcoin, you buy at support levels near moving average lines, not out here. Could this thing take off and still go to 20,000? Yes. But you have to get an unbelievably good entry and watch it like a hawk. So don't just buy Bitcoin and think it's just going to go to the moon. This is where you hear all these Bitcoin pumpers. They're pumping this up, you know. So again, you can make money on this, but you got to get a good entry. You want to get in down in these levels, not out here. But again, could this jump up and keep going? Absolutely. Just the technicals are terrible. This is showing you, warning, this thing's going to be, it's going to fall. But many times, again, you know, you can hear people say, you know, Bitcoin doesn't follow the technicals and yada, yada. That's a bunch of garbage. Of course it does. But it can pump up very quickly. So, but as you can see, it can very easily dump. So you have to be super careful, you know, buying sectors that are pumping up, especially like Bitcoin. What else we got here? Hold on one second. So what was the one I was just looking at? BPMX was from Trade Ideas. So again, this one's pumped up to 158 pre-market. Now it's dumping down, so it's not looking so hot. That's where you guys can see, guys, one's from our watch list compared to Trade Ideas. The moment they hit Trade Ideas, they start to dump, so you got to be very careful. But you can see This one's getting a little bit near resistance, so I'd want to see this 150 is just a very, very important level. You can see kind of a shooting star, possible reversal down. So be very careful with VBIV, especially when it's in a gap. In AVMXY, I'd like to see some volume, see if this one can continue. Well, again, it's just been, the market's just been very funky, so I'm actually not seeing many good plays at all right now because those doji spinning topish type of candles that are on the daily, you want to see the market choose a direction. So I'm really not looking at anything at the moment. I'm going to wait for my high day scanner to pop up in the morning. And again, come join us in the trade rooms if you're not a member yet. So we do combinations of low floaters, medium floaters. I personally, you'll see, guys, if you trade our watch list, normally, as you guys would see, I would have this thing kind of filled up in the morning with some to look at, but I'm not liking any of the setups as of right now. So what I'll try to do is when the market opens, I'll pull up some that are on the high day scanner, pull them up, take a look here, and I just keep a 5-minute chart set up just like this, right? So I just look and I kind of see here and I draw my trend lines, I'll kind of go like this, right? Draw my channels, see what's happening, let the patterns form, and just watch those 5-minute setups, see what happens, and then sometimes they happen, sooner rather than later, and then other times it takes an hour, 2 hours, or even towards the end of the day. Do I think BPMX is a done deal? Let's see. BPMX. I mean, it kind of looks like it. You could watch right here. There's this gap on the daily. Right between that 120 down to 110, you can see if it's going to go and technically fill it when market opens, this gap here. But yeah, it doesn't look very hot at the moment. So again, when you're trading ones like low floaters or ones like Trade Ideas, we love Trade Ideas. It's an awesome scanner, but if you're new, they're very hard to trade. They're super volatile, like you see here. So many times you'll see they just pump up pre-market and the market opens and they just completely dump. So you have to be very quick. You're not typically going to see many good 5-minute setups on ones that hit the scanners. That's why we encourage you, number one, if you're new, don't trade low floaters unless you know what the heck you're doing. Practice in a virtual account, definitely not real money. But, trade our watch list where you'll see, again, if you look at our watch list, they're like kind of medium and higher float stocks. So these ones typically give you some patterns, and you'll see yesterday wasn't a great idea in the past couple days. But in general, when we have a watch list of 5 or 6, 1 or 2 are going to run really good during the day, and you'll see good patterns setting up. Whereas on a 5-minute setup on ones that hit scanners, typically they just do this. They run up and then they dump, right? Let me see another one with, let's look at RIOT. Or actually, let's look at, RIOT. Yeah. So this is typically what happens unless they're really running. They are, in the market open, they run up and then they dump back down, right? So you guys see the pattern? RIOT gaps all the way up, pre-market dumps right back down. BPMX runs all the way up, dumps right back down. I think Mara was hitting Trade Ideas. That's another Bitcoin stock. Runs all the way up, pre-market dumps back down. But stuff like you can see on our watch list, this one's still right here. I'd still be a little bit concerned with VBIV because of that shooting star pattern at resistance. See if the 9 and the 20 will separate and push price up. But be very careful with VBIV at the moment. You can see it's already gaining a lot of volume in the pre-market. So once it starts to do this from our watch list, it means the scanners are kind of picking up on it. So this is where you got to be very careful. This is the stuff I want to see. Like, I kind of like in the pre-market when you don't see a lot of volume on ours, because it means it's not hitting the scanners yet. So you can have a pretty decent entry. So maybe like something, just for instance, like HDSN, that might get 300, 400,000 at open, whereas something like RIOT might have 2 or 3 million. Everybody, let's say, is paying attention to RIOT. They miss, one that has 2, 3, 400,000. It's a decent or easier way to scalp. The moment it starts hitting this, a few 100,000 in the pre-market, then you start getting these crazy patterns like this. So if you watch us, typically in our watch list, you'll see these, the patterns tend to form on ones. Just kind of think about it. If it hits trade ideas, your 5-minute setup's going to pretty much be terrible. If you look at our watch list and it's not hitting trade ideas, got a few 100,000 to 1 million in volume, then you're going to see patterns play out, and then, it's much easier to trade. So, all right, guys, again, not really much to look at right now. I'm going to wait for Thinkorswim to open up, or the market to open up, look at the higher day scanner, search for some patterns. Come and join us if you haven't already yet. You can see over here we post our day trade watch list and swing trade watch list here daily. We post trade ideas, gappers right underneath here, underneath scanners every day. So we do our gappers and watch list here. We do real-time trade alerts as well as our trade alert setups. And day trade room, swing trade room, come and join us. We have a trial below, 14 days to come and try us out. And that's that. So you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Enjoy.